Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-murging Artist. And today's episode is not just an episode, it's the first episode of 2025. So, Happy New Year! I hope you spent a nice holiday time. Maybe you didn't take holidays, I hope you did have some time to rest. And if you didn't have time to rest, like me, I hope you have the strength and power to push through. And actually, it's one of my favorite times of the year because it's this kind of significant moment in time, almost like a time mark where we think about the year before and we think about the year ahead. So it's kind of in a weird mix, reflective and thinking forward. So today's episode is going to be about the year ahead. And I wanted to bring this episode to you about goal setting. This time, unlike any other kind of holiday period for me before, I did not do any reflection. I did not have the mental capacity to think ahead. And this is exactly why today I wanted to talk about goal setting for creatives. I am a true advocate of planning ahead, of thinking strategically, of taking action for the things that you want to achieve. And I recognize and understand that sometimes, because of external or internal circumstances, it's really difficult to keep up and to kind of keep pushing yourself forward, whatever forward means for all of us. We are different, we have different ways of coping, we have different ways of thinking and for pushing ourselves to realize our dreams and our goals. But I hope that this episode kind of helps you workshop that and it brings in new ideas of what a goal means to you and really pushes you to take action. Because I'm going to be talking about techniques, tools, and tips that have helped me over the years, what things I've been doing wrong in the past, and what things haven't been serving me as I was hoping to. So what I'm ditching this year and how I'm thinking about moving forward. And I repeat, I did not take some time off this holiday break. I didn't have time to sort of properly rest and contemplate and think about life. So I am doing this with you right now, looking at the year ahead. Let's dive into it. And as a small disclaimer for this episode, I think I'm going to make a few episodes on goal setting and thinking creatively, strategically, because it's such a huge topic to cover and I feel like we need to workshop this. So I do recommend to listen or watch to this episode and have like your notepad and have your supplies ready to go, because we will be doing a lot of thinking, writing, rewriting and things like that. So it's not like a kind of, sit back and listen type of episode, but it's more like you're going to be doing your homework. So if that sounds exciting, I'm excited too. Let's get into it. Okay, before I go into the solution, I have to mention that this whole new year, new me situation, or like, it's just a marketing plot. It doesn't work for everyone. I find this increasingly pressuring and pushing me, and it's not allowing me time and energy to actually decide for myself if this is the right moment in time for me to be reflecting on things that have happened or to be thinking about, things that will or can happen in the future. So if you're as triggered as me, thinking about new year, new me, and whatever that brings along, just decide to ditch it. It's not working for you. So just take this period of time as any other and do not put yourself under pressure to deliver a set of goals, to write your resolutions, who has ever ticked off every New Year's resolution And especially, who has kept them on after a month? Like, look at me in February in the eye and tell me that you are still doing your New Year's resolutions. Rant over. Of course, that's not to say that you cannot do that. And that's a system that works for you and it helps you and it motivates you. Please keep doing that. You're doing great. But if that's not helpful for you right now, please don't feel the pressure to kind of respond to all that. And let's specifically look at why this does not always work for freelancers and for people that work on, on the gig economy, or that they work project by project and they have a very, very short time frame for all of the things that, they do. I find it really challenging to have long-term goals where our whole system of working, our whole ecology and economy of working is very, very short-lived. So if we're doing like gigs and we're doing 1 month projects, or like even shorter, even 1 week projects and all of that, I find it incredibly difficult to think long term and to kind of pull yourself out of this day by day living and kind of responding to situations, and then really think about the bigger picture, think about long term. And long term, I used to make that mistake a lot. Long term does not mean 10 years ahead. It might mean a year from now for you. If you're used to thinking kind of week by week or month by month, a year is already a big leap in that time frame. So I think it's hard to set goals and keep track of them as freelancers, because the very nature of the way we're working and our lifestyle that adapts to it is very, very flexible and fluid, and it changes all the time. So I just want to acknowledge this challenge that we have to begin with. Now, let's see how I have failed in the past to keep up with my goals, to even set them in the first place, and to just hold myself accountable. I'm very guilty of setting so many goals without thinking if I'm actually wanting them, or if they serve my purpose or a purpose in general. So I would set up so many goals just to keep myself busy. And they didn't really make a dent in my whole kind of career trajectory, or they just kept my diary full, and I didn't have time to rest, and I didn't have time to actually think about the strategy behind it and see how they aligned with my values and my aspirations and my whole path that I was creating. So anything that you put down, make sure that it really resonates with you. Make sure that your intuition is really what you're listening to, but also that it is a step that leads you somewhere. And you might not know the somewhere, that where, but it should feel like it's pulling you towards something. There's a drive there, because if there's no purpose, or the purpose is not clear, it's incredibly difficult to keep track of your goals and to take all the actions that need taken to get you closer to them. Apart from setting too many goals for myself, I was thinking very, very short term. So I would look for kind of instant gratification, like bookings, like amount of money, like things that could happen in the diary and change very, very quickly, so that in the end I felt like I wasn't building like towards something, but I was just again, making my diary full. And I felt like by doing that and by keeping busy, it was kind of easier to not look at the bigger picture, because it's hard to look at the bigger picture. You need to be completely honest with yourself. Another thing that did not help me achieve my goals in the past was that I was too impatient to achieve them. And because my time frame was short and because there were so many of them, too many, I kept changing my mind, and I was like, this is not working. What can I do instead? So I was always shifting between actions and goals. So it ended up being like a really big mush of things. And I felt like nothing was moving forward, nothing was progressing. And so this was an endless cycle of negativity, because I was like, I'm putting all the work, I'm not achieving anything, or I'm not recognizing any progress. This is completely useless, so I'm not going to stick to anything that I say. And that completely trashed my whole process and my whole effort of putting my energy into something and my time into something. Because after a while, I realized that my goals were not flexible and were not adaptable of my situation. And so if something didn't happen, I would put that in the bin overall. I wouldn't take something out of it. I wouldn't edit it. I wouldn't curate it and change it as, the time passed by. So these are all learnings now. And I feel like I've really I haven't mastered goal setting, but I think I've found a way that really works for me now. What am I bringing to you today? 3 words that have saved my life when it comes to setting a goal and really keeping up with it and really making sure I do everything I can within my power to achieve it. Consistency, persistence, patience. I'm going to leave a very dramatic pause here so that you can reflect on these 3 words and see what they mean to you and if they are part of your life and your process at this moment. So I hope you had a moment to really reflect on these 3 words, which are essential for my own process and for the way I keep track of the actions I need to do in order to achieve my goals. Because a goal without an action is just a dream. It's just thin air. It can disappear so quickly in the same way as it appeared. So now we're going to do the work and we're going to get into the strategies and the tools for achieving those. Let's take a moment to figure out how to set goals in the first place. And what I love doing is sort of an idea that morphed out of a video. I'm going to put the video in the description below to give credit to the people that have inspired me, and for you to have like a follow-up from this episode. So thanks to Alan and Katie's goal setting videos. Alan and Katie run the Rebel Finance Goal, among other wonderful things that they're doing, and they have been an incredible resource for me and for my money mindset and this whole action taking attitude. So I really want to give credit to them for this goal setting video. And I have sort of taken out one method and I'm bringing to you today how I use it as a creative. So let's say we're talking about your career goals. And of course you can adapt this method to your personal life, your spiritual life, your family life, and anything else. First step would be to grab this piece of paper that we've been talking about. You need to write things down. It's a very, very powerful move. It's kinesthetic, and it means that it kind of happens from the mind to the body and back to the mind. So I want you to sit down and write 50 goals for your career. And I know to begin with, 50 sounds like a crazy amount of goals, but I'm sure you have them because I know you are up like in the night thinking about the things that you like to do. But why they stay there, why they keep you awake, it's because you haven't found a way to turn these thoughts into a goal and to identify the actions that you need to take. So again, another moment of pause into this podcast or into this video if you're watching, and sit down, write your 50 goals, however wild. I think the wilder, the better. Because it'll show you that there is no limit to imagination and there's no limit to your aspirations and dreams. So sit down, write 50 of them, no less, no more, and come back to this video, come back to this episode, and let's work it out together. I hope you're back. I hope you have written your 50 goals, and my next step would be to sort of bring these goals from a list to bubbles, to categories. So we are creating sort of a visual map and a vision map from that list. So, for example, I have different goals when it comes to like music, dance, choreography, teaching, workshop, like all that stuff. So I find the list kind of overwhelming. So from that, I would pull out, highlight in green, whatever has to do with music. And then I'll pick another color and highlight when it's like about performing, when it's about dance, when it's about choreographing. So I would do all this coloring and then I'll pull them out into categories, and I would make one big bubble and I'll call it music, and then I'll put all these goals under music, and then I put another bubble with the title dance or whatever it is that you're doing, and then pull this little strings together. And now you have your big mastermind map, and it looks visually beautiful and it's a reflection of your brain and your heart and your body and your soul. So I hope that you take a moment to just take in what an exciting and beautiful and rich life you have ahead of you. And here's the key. I don't put that away. I don't close my notes and I don't kind of fold them up and put it in the drawer and never look at it again. This is really the key moment. You have to keep this close to you. Find a place at your home or in your car or wherever. Whatever you do as a first thing or as a, I'm going to bed sort of thing, you need to be able to have physical contact with this piece of paper and this map. You need to kind of see it often. You need to read it often to be reminded and to be motivated. This is the only way, because goals cannot live in our head only. You have now a physical representation of your aspirations and you need to use it to your advantage. So how I keep track of my goals is I read this list often and I cross out every little thing that I've achieved along the way so I can see physically in space how much I'm progressing towards what I want. So treat this almost like a map and your big vision board and your like visual representation as your roadmap to the year ahead and to your success. Having visual contact often is so important with keeping up with them, keeping on track. You will also need to tell someone about it, because writing about them is the first step. It's really, really important, but then you need to communicate that with someone, not only to have an accountability partner, but also to make it feel real, because vocalizing your goals somehow cements them into your timeline and into your life. So it's really important to write on a piece of paper and then tell someone about some of the goals, maybe not all of them, but make people allies in this journey. Super important. And let's now look at how I review my goals and make sure that they're relevant, that I care about them, and that they still align with my purpose and my vision. So as I said, I look at this piece of paper very often, and every 3 or 6 months, I would maybe read through with a more kind of skeptical eye, with a more objective eye, and I would really see, first of all, actually, I won't see, the first thing I would do is kind of tune in and understand, become aware of any bodily reactions to reading these goals. Does it feel like I get an emotional reaction? Does it feel like I get chills or I get, a buzz in my body just reading about this goal that I have? If yes, it's a great sign and I'm super, super motivated and I'm super, super keen on keep working on that goal. If I feel a bit about it, I would just make a mental note and review it 3 months later. But I encourage you to shift and edit and curate this list and this bubbles, this vision board often. Not as often as we said, not every week or every month, but give it a good 3 to 6 months time frame and really edit where you are at, what is more important to you, and prioritize the ones that give you a full embodied reaction and they really, really hit your intuition and align with your values fully. And of course, at the last part of this video, I wanted to say and share with you that if you just stay in this phase of setting your goals and you don't take any action for them, you are going to fail. And you know this because it's probably happened to you before. It's happened to me before 1,000,000 times. So this first step is very, very key. But also the next step, which should come very quickly from this first kind of planning and identifying phase, is to take action for them. And Alan and Katie's video says it beautifully on how to take action, how to identify the steps that you need to take after setting your goal. So I want you to look at your list and do one thing for one goal of this list today, right now, right after you finish listening and watching to this episode. So do not wait any longer. There's no real reason of waiting. It's just our mental kind of coping mechanism of keeping us safe and keeping us comfortable as humans that stops us from taking the action today. So pick one goal, one action that you are going to do today after this video, after this episode, and you're going to go ahead and start your journey. And as a thank you to the wonderful people that have inspired me in this journey, I will show 3 books that have really, really kept me motivated and have helped me kind of broaden my perspective and my resilience when it comes to goals and to kind of crafting your own career path as a freelance artist. The first up is 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. It's a classic and it has helped me realize that we don't have time. So I'm not going to waste energy and time into things that don't really matter to me. I highly recommend if you're struggling with your time and where to put it. The second one, I'm very grateful that the author has given this as a gift. He is amazing. It's called Successful Artists Mean Business, and it's helped me clarify how to identify my growth potential as an artist and as a business. It's a really easy read. It's really easy to follow steps, and I am so grateful to have this amazing method and tool in my library as an artist. And the last one, I've just started reading it. It's called Fast Forward, and it's about how to shift your perspective and your life in a year. It's recommended by my mentor, Lee. I'm so grateful to her, and I cannot wait to read further and let you know about the results. That's it, everyone. I'm so happy that I'm able to share all these things with you through life experience, through failures, through many, many mistakes. And I hope that we hold each other accountable for our goals. And because of that, I want you to comment down below your number one goal for this year and what are you going to do about it today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope this was useful for you. I have full faith in you. I trust that you will take action after this episode. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.